Okay, let's now talk about setting up for Dev Day. So basically, when both of your iPads are sort of in this sleep mode, powered down mode, really easy to turn them on. On the little iPad, we have the little circular button on the right hand side. Just press that one once, and twice will bring it onto your home screen. With the large iPad, double tap the screen and just slide up from the bottom, and that will again open up onto the menu options that we've got there. So we have an app which we use to generate all this simulation we need called Reality 360. Okay, so we're just going to click the icon on both iPads. Now, as you can see, on the main iPad here, we've got a blank screen. A black screen which says Reality 360. If you are, you may well come up with the normal home screen. If you're not and you are faced with this screen, if you just drag from the left slowly, that will sort of launch the app and put you onto your home screen. So basically, when we're on this screen here, it gives you the options down the bottom, staging or control. They're the only two that we're really concerned about. Now, the small iPad is the controller unit, and the large iPad is the staging unit. So what we want to do first is, as you can see here, and I mentioned before about the various different monitoring screens you can have on here. It's got the Zolex series, which is there. So if we slide onto that, make sure that staging is highlighted in orange there, and click that one there, and there we go. We've got something which vaguely resembles the Zolex series display. Now, on the smaller iPad here, every time you open it up, it will prompt you if you want to go through a tutorial. Now, obviously, you don't need to do that. However, and it's got the options here of skip always or skip once. I would suggest pressing skip once, because if someone else wanted to use the tutorial, and if you skip always, then that means that they're never going to get the option. So obviously, if you just click skip once there, down the bottom here, you will see tap to connect. These two guys need to sync with each other. So let's tap to connect there. It gives you the options of the ones to connect to. Obviously, the only one here is our monitor pink, so we click that one there and press connect. And what we've got now is that this has loaded up our sort of home control screen, if you like. Now, what I'm going to do is very quickly just talk you through this screen. Now, it comes preloaded with a sort of sequence of events if you wanted to use it. So as you can see here, initial screen, sliding this up, ischemia over 10 seconds, STEMI and PVC, STEMI with more PVCs, and then the patient arrests into VT and then into VF and then goes into a ROSC. So this is just like, you could run through that one if you wanted to do a shockable rhythm. But like I said, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to talk you through the Dev Day scenarios and then also how to use it on an ad hoc basis if you wanted to. Cool. 3 little lines, top left-hand corner. So this is for setting up for Dev Day, okay? Click on those 3 lines and it opens up a little menu here. Now then, if you wanted to do your own scenario, then you'd be clicking on New Scenario. If you wanted to do the ad hoc way. However, if you look down the bottom here, we've got 2 little folders, Clinical Update Day and Dev Day 1. So if we click on, let's say for example, you're on a Clinical Update Day. Click on that, which doesn't seem to want to work. There we go, lovely. And here, as you can see here, we've got all the scenarios, the 6 scenarios, in the order that they, that we have them for the Dev Days. And underneath there, we've got the other folder for Dev Day 1, so that consists of all your paediatric scenarios. So whichever one you want, whichever one you're on, if you click on that scenario, my fingers don't want to work today. Now, what's happened here is the event sequence, if you like, is down this side here. Now, what we've generally done to make it as simple as possible to run your Dev Days is there's pretty much three sort of scenarios that you're going to run through. Okay. Now, basically, so to control this one here, we've arranged, so for example, for the asthma scenario here, we've got on arrival, and we've got all the different observations here, heart rate, BP, SATs, end tidal, respirate, and temp. And these are the same ones that you'll find on your scenario sheet that you would be holding in your hand for Dev Day, which under normal circumstances, you would be, if you were using this iSimulate without a pre-programmed scenario in, you'd be having to change them all yourself, but you don't need to do that. So basically, the way this would work for this example is your students are there, you're ready loaded with this scenario here, okay? Your students will have hold of this unit here, and this is their, obviously their Zoll unit with the monitoring kit in the side. You need to press start on your scenario, so that's down the bottom corner there, and it's flashing anyway as a bit of an aid memoir. So we'll click the start button there. That starts a sort of timer down the bottom here. Don't worry too much about those. Now basically when the students come on to approach their patient, as they would do on the road, they'll switch their Zoll on. We've got a little on-off button on the top there, and if I click that one there, it turns on as you would hopefully expect it to do on a dev day. Now at the minute the screen is blank. Now we've done that deliberately, so the observations which are preset in here on this side, now all these observations at the on arrival box are preset here on these 4 different boxes: heart rate, SATs, BP, respirate and end tidal. Now if you notice in the bottom right hand corner we have like a little eyeball which is crossed out. If you uncross that eyeball, then it will replicate what it's supposed to show on the monitor. And the reason they're crossed out is because in reality you would enter a room to an asthmatic patient, you'd turn your Zoll on, and you wouldn't immediately get all the observations up. So for example, the guys come in and the first thing is they put the SATs probe on. So as soon as you see them put the SATs probe on, you unclick this little eyeball here, which will then go blue, and on their monitor now, so the SATs probe's gone on, they've got a SATs reading there. It's also picking up, as you would do, a pulse rate and their SATs there. And it's bleeping away as if the alarms were set on the monitor. If you wanted to turn the sound down or turn it off, in the top right hand corner here we have a little button which says sounds, and if you click on that one there, it's got a volume key there which you can slide along and turn down if you want to. Okay, so I'll mute that for the purpose of this demonstration. So the students have now got their SATs probe on. So let's say they pop some ECG dots on now, and they want to or they've popped a defib on. The likelihood is because the patient is obviously, still awake and alert at this minute, so they pop a few ECG dots on, so you uncover your little eye there. And you get your heart rate tracing come up here. There's no hidden icon for the blood pressure, because basically if they want to do a blood pressure, as you would on the road, they need to put their blood pressure cuff on, which is in here, and they need to press the blood pressure button. So if we do that on there, and what I will do is I'll just turn this volume up a minute so you can hear. Hopefully you can hear that. It's making the same noise that it would do if it was recording a blood pressure. But obviously the cuff doesn't actually inflate. And hopefully we're going to get our reading, which is preset at 100/64. And there we go. So then once the patient, if they decide to pop an end tidal mask on, you can then uncover your little eye down here for respirate and end tidal. Now, just be aware at this point here, with on the road as well, you're not going to get an end tidal trace if you don't turn your end tidal on here. So this is this button on the side. Pop the end tidal on, that brings up your end tidal trace. So just remember, if they say, oh, I've got my end tidal on, why am I not getting a reading? Then, well, have you turned your end tidal on your Zoll as you would do on the road? Now, not all of the buttons on here work as such, so it's not exactly the same as a Zoll. So for example, the home screen here, where you can normally change your view, it doesn't work. It's exactly the same. But if you do press your analyze button, if the patient goes into arrest, then it will obviously prompt the prompt to analyze a rhythm and deliver a shock if necessary. So you're running your scenario now, they've got all their observations on the screen there, and basically you want your patient to deteriorate. So what we've got here is our second box down here, deteriorate to cardiorespiratory arrest. Now this will trend over 120 seconds, over 2 minutes. So bear that in mind when you are delivering your dev day. So if I click that right now, okay, Another key point to remember here is whenever you press something on here, for it to replicate on there, you have to press this send button in the bottom right hand corner. So if I press that send button now over what we should see, you can see that the rhythm has changed already. Looks like we've got a little bit of ischemia going on there. But what we should see is these observations drop. So the heart rate's going to go down to 39. The oxygen saturations are going to drop to 66. You can see the heart rate dropping there now. You can see the sats dropping there now. And the respiratory rate will also drop. Now, but this will trend over 2 minutes. So this is pretty much, your deterioration of your patient. So irrespective of the treatment that they're giving this patient's now on the downward spiral, if you like. And eventually, the heart rate will go so slow that you could then prompt the students and say, okay, so the patient is now has their respirator's deteriorated significantly. The patient's gone unresponsive, etc., etc. Can't feel a pulse. Patient's now in cardiac arrest. When they get to that point, obviously they'll press the analyze button on here, and it will analyze the ECG as you would do normally. I'll just turn the volume up, and it prompts that the shock's not advised. Okay, and then they're now into their cardiac arrest algorithm. Once you're happy that you've finished with the cardiac arrest algorithm, the third one down here is ROSC, and again this one trends over 90 seconds. So if things are kind of going okay and you want to give them a ROSC, press that button there. You'll see all the parameters change to what they're going to be, but don't forget to press that send button, because if you don't press that, it won't happen. So the send button's gone there, and now things are going to start to improve. Hopefully, you can see the oxygen saturations are gradually picking up. The heart rate is going to increase, and things over time will gradually improve. Okay, so that is basically the key points to remember there from that short video is when you first start your scenario, and as the students put the observations on, they need to uncover the little eyes here so that they can actually see it on the monitor. And then when you go to each of your different settings, so deteriorate to arrest and then ROSC, once you press that square button there, you then press the send button. And that's pretty much all you would do for the dev day. And each of the scenarios have been preset for your ease of use during development day.